Hey, it's Jimmy, and y'all watching the Comic Hall Crew on YouTube.
Yo, we're here. It's the Comic Hall Crew in the building. How's everybody doing? We've got Brother Al in the building. We've got Brother Rico in the building. Puff is in the building. And we've got the big man, Jace. Happy New Year, brother. First time on the channel this year.
Yep.
Welcome.
I have to make your appearance, man. I missed out the first three. I couldn't miss out on 144. I gotta be here for Rico.
Well, I appreciate you. I appreciate you.
Mm-hmm. For those who have not watched the last few shows, make sure you go back. Rico has knocked it out the park, and there's no doubt that he will do the same tonight. We'll go hot right into it tonight. Get on this because this is a big one. This is a surprise. Rico says he's got something special for us. And so we're going to go ahead and get started with that. While you're listening, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Share this across the socials so that people can see what's going on here and see this goodness and this knowledge that's coming from the man with the plan. Rico, plan. Yeah,
man, Rico, you know, he came with so much knowledge and all this stuff that he had to take the hat off to let the brain breathe, man.
yeah, he knocked this cap off. It blew him away.
Cap on today.
Cap off my head.
Straight up sweat. Just
Took him over.
power. What's going on,
man.
Brad?
What up, Big B?
So we're gonna
Hold on a second, Rico. Brad, don't worry.
we
We got some stuff coming down the pipe that you'll be back. You'll be back quicker than you think.
It's
All
all
right,
right.
Rico. Take it away, brother.
all right, man. So this one's gonna be a really dope one. We're gonna combine. Okay, appreciate that. Yeah, appreciate that.
My bad. I had to turn it down. That's my fault.
Nah, you good, man. Now we need a little soundtrack in the background while we're doing the presentation, man. So, but what we're gonna do on this one, man, this is gonna be really cool. So, this is something that people have been asking me to do for probably 2 or 3 years. I get DMs, I get messages. People say, "Yo, Black Key, man, what are like the top 20, top 25, top 30 books I need to have in my collection? The most historically groundbreaking books, the most disruptive Black books." So what I decided to do tonight, I'm going to give the people what they want. I have curated what I call the 30 most disruptive Black comic books in history. That's right.
Listen to him, folks. Listen to him.
30.
30. I didn't do 10. I didn't do 15. I ain't do 20.
30.
I ain't do 25. I did 30.
30.
All I do is sell coke, man. I don't do no violence. I don't mess with no fire. No guns, no guns, nigga. Don't
I want everybody to take note because at the end, I want to find out how many each of you have in your collection.
Can I say something before you get started?
Go ahead.
The gentleman in front of me probably got 33 of the books. You only doing 30, but he got 3 extra ones that ain't even on the list.
Man, Matt has all the honorable mentions that I don't list. Matt has books. Matt has books that I'm gonna list next year, and I haven't even found them yet.
He already ahead of you.
Matt already has.
Hey, Matt probably got the first issue of Jet Magazine, man, in pristine condition.
Yeah, you playing. You probably
Yeah.
has it. But y'all, this is gonna be a fun one, y'all. So let's get started. All righty. So first we're gonna define. So I'm gonna tell you what the qualifiers were for this particular list. The goal is not to curate the biggest superheroes, the most popular books. These are books that have been the most disruptive Black books in comic book history. And so basically this is how I define it. So I put shifting perspectives, challenging systems, and creating space. Disruption drives change. In curating the 30 most disruptive Black books, we aim to highlight stories, creators, and moments that shook the industry, defied expectations, and redefined what was possible in comics. Disruptive captures the spirit of innovation, bold representation, and cultural impact in a way that groundbreaking might not fully encompass. These comic books didn't just make history, they challenged norms, sparked conversations, and paved the way for more diverse and dynamic future in storytelling. All right, now these are the grading system that I put together to determine what would make it in this top 30 list. Because there's a lot of books I had to weed out. And I wanted to make sure that I looked at all the eras. So you're going to see books from the golden age, the silver age, the platinum age, the bronze age, the modern age. I wanted to make sure that I kept everything in context, made sure that there was full representation from every specific era. So these are the top criteria that allow each book to make the list. So first, it had to be culturally and historically significant. How the comic introduces first in Black representation and reflects key cultural milestones shaping Black storytelling in comics. The next one is representation and authenticity. The depth and accuracy of Black representation in characters, narratives, and themes. The third one is industry disruption. How the comic challenged industry norms, broke barriers, or introduced bold new perspectives. Social and political impact. Its role in addressing social justice, racial issues, or sparking political conversations. Legacy and influence, and this is important too, the kind of comics that stand the test of time. Comics lasting impact on future creators, stories, and Black representation in media. And the last I wanted to make sure I add was the hero archetype and character innovation. How it introduced, redefined, and evolved Black heroism in character depth. So let's get started. All right, the first book, number 30. Now, what you're gonna notice is the books as we get further along is also about the depth of the comic book. There are going to be some books that make the list, and you may wonder sometimes why is this book higher than the other? Well, I'm looking at the totality of the book. So there may be some books where it may feature something and may have something significant in it, but there may be some books where the overall comic addresses certain things. So that book carries a lot more weight than something that may just highlight something or something a book that might feature something. So we're going to start with number 30. And this is my grail. This is one of my favorite books of all time. This is Ace Comics number 1. We talked about this book, I think, in the first presentation this year. And what makes this book disruptive is that Ace Comics number 1 marked the first comic book appearance of Crazy Cat, making history as the first comic to feature a story created, written, and illustrated by Black creator George Herriman. His influential artistry helped shape the evolution of comic storytelling. And y'all feel free to stop me at any time. Number 29. I think we talked about this book last year. This is the Funnies number 45. This is a very important book. This book came out in 1940. This book disrupted the industry as the earliest known instance of a Black creator, E.C. Stoner, crafting a superhero Phantasmo, placing him alongside Dell's first heroes, marking a groundbreaking moment for Black talent in the comic book industry. So this is the first time that a Black creator, Black artist, actually created a superhero in comic books. This is the first time we saw it. This is in 1940. Now, it wasn't a Black superhero, but that's even more significant that a Black artist by the name of E.C. Stoner, who's one of the greats, he's up there with Matt Baker and A.C. Hollingsworth. He created this character, Phantasmo, which is actually tied for Dell's first superhero in comics. It's tied with the Owl. They both came out in the same month. So this is a very, very disruptive comic book as well. And that's the character Phantasmo on the cover. Number 28, The Arrow. Now, this is something that one day we'll talk about. I posted this character. This is one of my favorite books. This is the first time this book introduced a character by the name of Kalo, a rare and complex Black character in the Golden Age. Initially portrayed as a subservient assistant, he is later revealed to be an African king executing a secretive plan. This book was also created by one of the earliest women in comic books by the name of Claire Moe. This book defies stereotypes, offering an unexpected layer portraying a Black identity early in comic books. So to give you a quick synopsis of this book, this is one of the illest books in comic book history. So the book starts out with this ship going to Africa to film a movie. And you see this guy, this Black character by the name of Kalo. Early in the book, he just seems to fit the typical golden age stereotype. Some like a slave, a subservient guy who has this white master, right? Well, as the story unfolds, he's actually not a servant. He's actually is an African king that has actual powers, there's people on the ship under his own hypnosis to make them think that he is a slave. And the goal is to kidnap this woman and sacrifice her to his African goddess. So this is also one of the first times recorded where we actually not only saw a Black villain in comic books, but the whole entire story revolved around Kalo. He is the central figure in this entire comic book. So not only is this the first time we see a Black villain in comics, the whole entire story revolves around him. He's not just a side note. He is actually, and the dignity that we see with this character where it was actually a flip. We're thinking he's some type of servant, and it turns out he's an African king. This is 1940. So that is to talk about disruption. I don't really think it gets more disruptive than that in the 1940s, where you see a Black character that gives you, that kind of gives you the impression in the beginning that he's some type of slave or servant, but at the end they flip the whole story. And not only is he an African king, he actually has powers that he actually gets from his actual African goddess. So this is number 28. All right, 27. This is one of my favorite books. This is Yankee Comics number 2. This came out in 1941. This introduced a character by the name of 8-Ball. Now, there's a lot of variations of 8-Ball in comics. So you can Google even white characters, Black characters, white
Question,
characters.
Rico.
Yeah, go ahead.
Did this iteration have another brother with him by the name of MJG?
That was in Yankee Comics number 3. The remix. The South remix.
Wall House Comics.
But the thing about 8-Ball that's so dope is that 8-Ball is the first time in comic books, this is in 1941, where we see a Black character demonstrate acts of heroism. He's actually a hero. This is before, and there was actually a young group called the Young Americans. And basically they were like the Young Avengers, they were like Teen Titans, way before Teen Titans. So these were actual young heroes. And 8-Ball was actually one of the leaders in the group. Now, what makes this story so fascinating is that this whole story showed him strong. It showed him powerful in terms of his attitude. He didn't have the little he wasn't running. He wasn't scared. It wasn't any of that. And all of a sudden, in issue number 3, new writers and new artists take over, and they completely wreck the character. Now he's running for dear life. He's afraid of everything. He shows no acts of heroism. So this comic character went through a similar situation with Buddha, but instead of Buddha being but Buddha was whitewashed, where he was actually turned into a white character. The problem with 8-Ball, he wasn't necessarily whitewashed. It was his level of heroism that was changed. They turned him into basically like Shaggy from Scooby-Doo, always afraid, always scared, as opposed to the first issue where he was like the leader. He was always facing all the threats, and all of a sudden now in issue number 3, they completely changed the whole character dynamic. So, but issue number 2 marks history. This is basically, I call him Mal Duncan before Mal Duncan. He was the first Black character that showed acts of heroism in comic books. Number 26. Now, this book came out in 1945. This is an amazing comic book too. The reason why this book makes the list is because this book introduced a story in 1945 that I think a lot of companies would be afraid to actually write. It's a solo story about black soldiers who basically sacrificed their lives in World War One, but when they come home, they still have to go to different bathrooms. They have to drink from different separate water faucets. They're treated as less than, and it really addressed how you have black men, black women, black soldiers fighting for our country and coming back and treated like less than a human being. And this book tackled that in this book. It also has a historic milestone where it's the first time where you have a black feature story in the same book alongside a book with Superman and Batman in it. So this is a very disruptive book, and they really, really tackle some serious issues in this book. So this is a book I would definitely recommend from the standpoint of content, from the standpoint of having a dope book that really addresses social issues, addresses social injustices. And this was in 1945. Normally, you weren't going to see this type of content being written in the early 1940s, even in the mid 1940s. So shout out to DC for putting this story in this book. Number 25, Black Laughter. Now, this is a really dope book, but it's also, the story is kind of sad. This book disrupted the industry by using satire and humor to challenge racial stereotypes and address social issues, offering a bold and unapologetic commentary on the Black experience in America. So basically, they use humor, similar to what we were talking about when we did the juxtaposition. In the last video, we had Jackie Orms and Ted Shear. How Shear used a lot of humor to address real life issues, but Jackie basically addressed these issues head on. Now, what makes this book kind of sad is that this was an independent book. This was a Black creator who I think wrote and did all the art on his own. And when you open this book, I know Matt has a copy of this book. He actually has space for advertisements. His goal was to use this book as a way to generate revenue. So this book was actually designed to be his Kickstarter. He worked tirelessly to create this book, create value, put this book out there, and hopes people would see enough value in it to invest, advertise in it, so he could actually raise enough money to do a second issue. And unfortunately, he never raised the money to produce the second issue. So this is a very rare book. It's like newspaper print book, but this is also a very, very important disruptive book. So we're at number 25. Anybody have any questions?
It's very rare. Only I see one copy on eBay.
Yeah, this is very rare book. Very, very rare book. And it's newsprint paper too. So when you find it, hopefully you can get it in really good condition. But sometimes it's hard to find in really good condition. But if you find it, it's at a good price, snatch it anyway, because you probably won't find another one anytime soon. All right, now we're in the top 25. 24, y'all know about this character. This is Black Man. Now, this is a fascinating book because this was not only a comic book, this was also a somewhat like a promotional guide or a media kit. The goal was to basically, so I believe he was from Indiana, but he went to Texas to market the book. He felt as though Texas was an ideal demographic for this particular comic book. So he traveled to Texas in hopes to raise money and kickstart this book and bootstrap this book, for lack of better words. Similar to Black Laughter, obviously he didn't raise the money. He was never really able to generate the revenue to continue this as a series. So when you open this book and read the book, it's a story, but it's more about introducing all these characters. So it's almost like a promotional kit, a media kit to introduce Black Man along with other characters that's in the comic book. So this is a very, very powerful book. And also look at this date. This is 1971. Look at the character. Look at the chain around his waist. What does that look like? Well, if you say Luke Cage came out in 1972. So let that sink in. Luke Cage comes out in 72. This book comes out in 71. So this is a very disruptive book, and so this is if you find this book, this is an absolutely dope book to add to the collection. 23. You can't have a top 25 without representing Milestone, their major contributions, how they disrupted the industry. Static One disrupted the industry by introducing a modern, authentic Black teen superhero whose story tackled real-world issues like racism and gang violence while giving voice to underrepresented communities. This book really brought the community to comics. And I've always said if Harlem Youth Report had superheroes, it would be Liberator, who almost made this list, and it would be Static, because they represented the community, and that's what Harlem Youth Report was all about. Even though Harlem Youth Report was not a hero book, if they actually had heroes in their book, it would be Milestone characters. 22. I think a lot of people sleep on Spawn and how Spawn really changed the superhero archetype and how heroes look. Also, how massive this book reached critical mass in terms of its reach. This may be arguably one of the most popular Black comic books and comic book characters in all the comics in terms of mainstream appeal amongst all diverse groups. Spawn reaches pretty much every single demographic. So Spawn 1 in 1992 introduced a radically different type of protagonist to mainstream comics. As a hell Spawn with a dark origin and complex morality, Spawn challenged the traditional superhero archetype. Spawn challenged established norms in comic book storytelling, aesthetics, and business models, leaving a lasting impact on the medium. We know it's not an expensive book; you can find it anywhere, but it doesn't diminish its impact. This character is probably one of the most impactful comic book characters in history. Hell Rider number 1.
I've seen that.
Hell Rider number 1. This introduced Butterfly. Butterfly is the earliest recorded Black female superpower heroine. She came before Storm and any other Black superpower, what they identify as super female superhero. She predates many of the mainstream counterparts. Published by Skyward Publishing, the series blended gritty bike action and social commentary, pushing boundaries in 1970s comics. And this is a powerful comic too, because she was actually fighting against basically like white supremacists in this comic book. So this book really also pushed some social issues as well. This was a Black woman who was basically fighting against white supremacists and different type of villains like that was beyond just your typical villains in terms of Joker and stuff. He was actually social type villains that was actually not only attacking her as a hero, but attacking her as a Black person, attacking her essence as a Black individual. So this is a really dope book. This is not a hard book to find. I don't really know what the prices are, but this is a book you can definitely find on eBay.
Watch this already. $79.
Yeah, it's not super cheap, but it's available. It's definitely.
I tell you this too, man. This is a book that if you're out like Heroes Con this year, look through a couple of magazine boxes. I actually see this book I've seen this book quite a few times. You just gotta just dig around and you'll spot them, because I found 1 and 2 just goofing off in the magazine box.
Mm-hmm. Also, another historical fact: this comic book, and it's actually if you look it up, you can research it. This was the prototype for Ghost Rider. It had one of the same creators. I forget his name, but you can actually look it up, and the creator actually says it. He actually says that when he was creating when he created Ghost Rider, it was basically it was actually this particular book was the prototype for Ghost Rider. Hell Rider was. So this is a type of book where I don't do the thing where if a character shows up in the MCU is gonna go up it is what it is. But this is definitely a book that if Ghost Rider begins to maybe build some traction, the book builds some traction, this book may end up following. This may be a book that people start going after as well. And even though we may be investing in this book or interested in the book because of the character Butterfly, it always helps when you have a comic book in terms of its intrinsic value that has other variables and components that can drive the price up in the book. So there's other variables in this book that actually can contribute to this price going up, aside from Butterfly.
Before you go to the next one, Donnie Williams, tell me where you located, brother. Because if you build motorcycles, I want to photograph that, brother. If you're here in Georgia, let a brother know.
Amen. Number 20, Fast Willie. You can't have a top 20 without Fast Willie, man. This book, people are now starting to really understand the historical significance of this book. Most people identify Fast Willie as the Black Archie, but it's bigger than that. This was one of the first times in comics, outside of Fat Albert. But remember, Fat Albert originated from animation. So when you talk about a comic book where the characters originated from actual comic stories, this book introduced the first predominantly Black cast in comics, and it was every comic book was like going to a Black cookout, like literally, the Fast Willie is probably one of the most fun books to read, very entertaining, and they also tackle social issues. I believe in the last issue, they actually I think it's one of the most rare issues where I forget who it is. One of the characters have a dream about a slave ship, and they go through dealing with the whole transatlantic slave trade. So Fast Willie Jackson wasn't just about having fun, having a good time, being the Black Archie. They dealt with real life issues. It was art. It was art imitating life, but it was definitely like going to the cookout every time you read it. It was fun. It was enjoyable. You could kind of feel you read this book, you see your aunties in the book, you see your uncles in the book, you see your cousins in the book. And that's what made Fast Willie Jackson, man, so special, man. It was so relatable and it was so authentic, So and some of these books are not easy to find. Like, there are a lot of artists now. A lot of collectors now that are really going out their way to build a collection, like get every single book. And it's getting more and more difficult. So this is definitely a book that you want. This is issue number 1. I believe there's 6 or 7 issues total. So if you can get all the issues, definitely go after it. Definitely try to collect all of them.
Yeah, I see issue number 6 running for like $200-$300, and that's the bikini issue. That costs them more than issue number 1.
Man, the bikini issue, is that the one with the yellow cover?
Yeah, with them on the sand is yellow.
Yeah. That cover. So that cover is similar to headlight covers with Archie books. Like legit. Like, that is the Black headlight. That is the Fast Willie Jackson book that is comparable to headlight books with Archie. So because everybody gets that book just for the cover, like literally for the cover.
Oh.
Number 19, Mighty Man. Now, this book right here, y'all. Now, talk about a hard book to find. Now, what makes this book difficult to find is that this book was actually published in South Africa, but it was worthy of this list because we're talking about Black disruptive comic books. So whether it's in United States,
it's one on eBay. It's one on eBay.
How much is it?
Ooh, Nelly. 38.50.
Dude, this is not an easy book to find, fam. But and there's several issues. But this was a groundbreaking South African comic book because it introduced one of the country's first Black superheroes during apartheid, challenging racial oppression and providing a rare heroic figure for Black readers. And this book actually ran for a certain period for a significant amount of time. Beautiful artwork for the time, great storytelling. This is a book, if you can find at a show at the right price, grab it, you know, because it's you probably won't see it again. Like this book is probably one of the hardest books to find on this entire list.
Hey, yo, shout out to Evolutionary Comics. He said he copped issues 2, 3, and 4 of Fast Willie for $200.
Man, great deal, man. Great deal. All right, number 18. Come on, y'all. We can't have a top 20, man, without Luke Cage, man. Well, what makes that book so disruptive? Well, it's not Luke Cage disrupted in the industry by introducing the first black superhero to headline his own solo series at Marvel. So this was the first book from Marvel that actually headlined a black hero in his own title, embodying street-level heroism and addressing themes of racial injustice, economic struggle, and resilience in a rapidly changing America. So this book absolutely was disruptive. In my opinion, this is one of the most underrated books in terms of price. You can get this, in my opinion, I think it's undervalued tremendously, even in high grade. I'm not sure why, but you know, I don't really understand why this book is so cheap. Matter of fact, we thought at one point several years ago on Heritage Auction, a 9.8 sold for over $100,000, but since $100,000. But since then, two of these books, 2 9.8s have sold. One I think around 50 something thousand, one for I think around 40 something thousand. So it's steady dropping. I don't understand why, but in my opinion, this is one of the most undervalued books in Black comic book history. Number 17.
Before you go forward, Rico, let me just say this.
Go back here.
Yeah, that right there. You know, I just recently bought that book at a mid grade. I spent maybe $120 right around that area for it.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, you're right, because I remember when the Netflix show popped off, this book was going ham.
Yeah, it was doing well.
Yeah, but now it's kind of settled down, and also I was on eBay looking at Fast Willie Jackson 1. They got a 9.8 on there for $6,000.
Woo! Lord have mercy. Lord have mercy. Have mercy.
Six grand. Fast Willie Jackson number 1.
You must be out your. Oh, okay.
Okay, well, wait.
Was that
You
high?
must be out of your goddamn mind.
Was that a high grade, Al?
It's a
No, it was a 9.8.
9.8.
Yeah, it's a 9.8.
Yeah, it was a 9.8. Now, I know all the. All right, number 17. I know all of the T'Challa fans been sitting here waiting to see when is Black Panther going to show up on the list. And some may argue and ask, why is it that although, let's go back to Luke Cage, if this is the first title Black character for Marvel, how is it that this is 18 and FF52 is number 17? Well, impact. And we can't argue with that. We can't argue with how impactful this character is. And that was one of the grading criteria. This character just has lasting impact. It has a cult following. Matter of fact, their following is worse than LeBron fans. I'm gonna be honest with you, but it is indeed a very, very significant book. This book introduced Black Panther, the first Black featured superhero from Marvel Comics. Many like to say the first Black mainstream superhero. That's not necessarily accurate, because mainstream has to be you have to look at it contextually. Mainstream books exist in the golden age, where we had Black superheroes come out of that era. But I understand what they mean. But when we say the word mainstream, we have to be very careful with that word, because during the golden era, you have books like EC Comics, you had books published companies like Charlton and Quality Comics, and these were mainstream comics. Golden Key were mainstream comics, and the characters that came out were mainstream characters and figures for that era. As a matter of fact, during the golden era, you had comic book companies that had market share, and they owned different spaces like crime or romance or horror. So we have to be very careful. But people like to use the word mainstream. If you want to say it, I'm not going to argue with you because I don't argue with the T'Challa fans. It can be kind of dangerous. But this book disrupted the industry by presenting a powerful, intelligent African king at a time when Black representation was severely limited and often stereotypical.
And you know what, Rico? You just brought something to my, as far as my thought process. You can argue that Black Panther, Fantastic 452, actually kind of set him in terms of this book and Luke Cage, Hero for Hire #1. It set him up in Marvel Comics on a higher platform.
It did.
Considering the Fantastic Four is the first family of Marvel, as opposed to Luke Cage being a street level character and stuff. So I think that kind of propelled him in terms of relevance over Luke Cage.
100%. Look, there are probably, and anybody correct me if I'm wrong, but there's probably 3 series in comic book where during those runs, if a character first appeared in that run, it actually catapulted the character to great heights. Fantastic Four obviously is one of them. Amazing Spider-Man early run is one of them, and of course X-Men early run. So those 3 runs catapulted so many characters. So and they introduced so many dope characters. So absolutely, like Black Panther coming. If Black Panther, I would make an argument. Would it be the same if the first time we saw him was in Jungle Action? Would it be? I don't know. Maybe not. But it has a lot to do with the fact that Fantastic Four is arguably one of the greatest runs to introduce some of the greatest characters that we love. Silver Surfer came out that run. Galactus came out that run.
The Watcher.
The Watcher came out that run. So what's the group, man? Oh my goodness, they did a TV show years ago. It was horrible though. With Black Bolt. Who's Black Bolt a part of? Inhumans came out that run. So this book introduced so many fantastic characters, no pun intended. Number 16. Now we're gonna get gritty with it. So this book checks so many different boxes. This book came out in 1953. It delivered a groundbreaking twist on racial prejudice with its sci-fi tale Judgment Day. The story, which critiques segregation through the lens of an astronaut evaluating a robot society, was nearly censored for featuring a Black protagonist at the end. It remains one of the most powerful and controversial statements on race in Black comic book history. There was part of, like, someone may argue that this book should be higher, but I think as we go further, I think this book was placed in the right spot. But this book has so much historical significance, it's crazy. And one of the things I was saying earlier is that you're going to find that some books carry more weight if the entire book is more speaks to the black narrative. It's a Black themed book. But sometimes there's one story in a book that's so heavy and carries so much weight. Sometimes it carries more weight than a book where from cover to end, it's a complete Black story. This story, Judgment Day, is that powerful. This is another book I would absolutely recommend. It's not a cheap book, but definitely a book, that is just a great book to add to your collection. This is a book that I think has some liquidity. Not every book has liquidity. This book is a book that people really enjoy and people collect, and not a lot of people want to sell their book when they own it. All right, y'all.
I knew this book was coming.
Yeah.
Man, man, bro.
This book is.
I love hearing about this book every time.
Man,
I tell you this: I wake up every day, and that's I get on eBay and I look to see if this book is popped up anywhere. Once or twice a week, I'm looking for this book. Just to let y'all know.
Man, I had the honor and privilege to interview Marcus Bookstore, who were the publisher of this book. I can't do them justice because Marcus Bookstore is one of the most historic Black bookstores in the country. They played a pivotal role in the Black community, particularly during the Black Panther movement. And I had the honor to interview them when I first purchased this book several years ago, and learned so much about this book. I also learned and confirmed that this book was absolutely under investigation by FBI through COINTELPRO. As a matter of fact, the FBI will go to bookstores and confiscate this book. The reason why this book is so rare, people, is because this book was confiscated and destroyed. So that's why it's extremely hard to find this book. From my research, there were 1,000 printed, which is a low print run. That's very low. And then the fact on top of that these books were confiscated from bookstores and destroyed. I'm pretty sure the FBI has some file copies somewhere. But the fact that they were actually confiscated and destroyed, that makes this book even rare and hard to find. I have only seen in my lifetime three. And I own one. And I've only seen 3 in my entire lifetime. This is a very, very hard book to find. It was published by Marcus Books and illustrated by Ovid P. Adams. It depicts Black Panther leader Eldridge Cleaver taking militant action against racial violence. It's bold, y'all. You can look at the cover and tell. It has a revolutionary message, led to FBI scrutiny under COINTELPRO, making it one of the most politically charged and disruptive comics in history. So this is a book, y'all. Keep on your radar. Number 14. This was a tough one because it checks a lot of boxes. It's not the first to do what it does, but it's a very important book because there's only 2 books in the Golden Age that were completely published, written, illustrated, and produced by all Black people. All Negro comics, and this book right here, Dig, the Negro Choice magazine. This is a comic book. So there's only 2 Black, fully published, created, fully Black staff comic books from the Golden Age, and this is one of only 2. And the other one is the great All Negro comic. This is a very rare book. This book is so hard to find. It's a rare Black underground comic magazine published in Detroit, featuring adult-themed comic stories centered on love, relationships, and tragedy. Intended as a bi-monthly series, it ceased after 1 issue, leaving little historical record due to the underground nature, making it one of the most elusive Black comic publications. Good luck, fam. Negro Heroes. The first Black book, I call this the first Black STEM comic book. Negro Heroes #1, 1947. Disrupted the industry by celebrating Black historical figures and achievements at a time when mainstream comics largely ignored Black heroes. It provided inspirational representation by highlighting Black pioneers in science, education, and the arts, countering racial stereotypes in media. We talked about how True Comics #5 was actually the book that led to the production of Negro Heroes. We even went through, I think, in one of our presentations this year, where we even showed the letter that the publisher wrote when he was playing around with names, and Negro Heroes was one of the names that they were coming up with. This book was marketed as a comic book from the Urban League, but it was actually partnered with the Urban League through the Parent Institute. The Parent Institute had basically a lot of publications, mostly geared toward white audiences, but in these comic books, they would sprinkle Black stories in it. And so one day they decided to take all of these stories and put them all in one comic book. And True Comics #5 was like the test case they used, because it had a actual Black person on the cover and it had a Black feature story on the inside, which was the first time we saw something like that. And this was the first one we have right here. And I call this the STEM book. the cool thing about Negro heroes is that they're using the word heroes. And remember, in the golden age, black heroes were baseball players. They were actors like and singers and like Count Basie and Marian Anderson. They were scientists. They were musicians. They were doctors. They were educators like Mary Bethune, McLeod Bethune. So those were our heroes during that time. And in my opinion, those were some of the best heroes. They weren't capes and cows. They were people that were relatable, and they were people that were having massive impact on society and culture at that time. Number 12. We went through this book. Why is this comic disruptive? Well, why isn't it disruptive? It's the first time this book was published in 1947. Where we had a comic that was fully written and fully illustrated by the Ted Carroll. Never before did a black creator illustrate and write an entire comic before then. This landmark work showcased black excellence in both storytelling and artistry, breaking barriers in comic book history. Number 11, Picture News. This is another hard book to find. Now, you see, why is this book important? Well, this book is extremely important. This book featured the first comic book cover to a comic book appearance of a real-life black celebrity, Joe Louis, breaking barriers with a non-stereotype solo black cover and story representation. What do I mean by that? Before this book, you never saw a black person carry a cover by himself. He covered. Usually, it would be maybe if you're lucky, a black person on the cover, and that was even hard to find. This is the first time you see a black person on the cover by himself. Now, that's not his own title, which is Poor Lil Mosi, of course. So what I mean is not its own title, but this was the first time we saw it, and it was positive, and he had his own feature story on the inside. This book set the precedence for a lot of Joe Louis books towards the future, but also there were Joe Louis books prior, like True Comics number 5 that came out before. So this just shows you what we were talking earlier about how Joe Louis, you can't talk about the history of comics and not mention Joe Louis. And this is 1946, y'all. I got it right here, but at the corner should be 1946. So this book came out in 1946, not 1945. All right, we're in the top 10. Anybody want to take a water break? All right. Now, this is a book where a lot of people don't want to give love to, but you can't dismiss this book historical significance. You can't dismiss how disruptive this book is. This is a platinum age comic. This is a comic book. Go to any auction site, go to cover price. This is a comic book. This is not a book. This is a comic book. And this book was published in 1902. What people have to understand is comic books look differently throughout the years. Some comic books early, especially in the early platinum age, and even some in the early golden age, were horizontal. Even the book that some people thought was a black book, Red Mask, that's also a horizontal comic book. But this is a comic book, and it's recognized as a comic book. Even in the what's the thing with the Congress? The Library of Congress. Library of Congress also recognizes this as a comic book. In 1902 is considered the first comic book to headline a black character, a black protagonist. It was created by Richard Eppercote, who also did Buster Brown. While historically significant, it balanced racial stereotypes of its era with a surprisingly heartfelt and humanizing narrative. Despite its flaws, it stands as an early milestone in black representation in sequential art. So this book was the first time ever that we saw a black character headline his own comic. Now, if you just look at the art, you're gonna say, okay, here we go. But if you read the story, I've read this book in and out. It's not a bad story. Are there some stereotypes, specifically through language and vernacular? Absolutely. but it's a very heartfelt story. It's a story about a young black kid who's traveling all over the world. He's building all these friends with animals, and everywhere he goes, he's writing a letter to his mom or his mammy, however you want to say it. So outside of the language, outside of some of the actual vernacular, the story itself was not dehumanizing at all. It was very heartfelt, and they actually, humanized the character very well. Number 9, True Comics number 5. We talk about this book a lot, but we can't negate its historical significance. The first comic to feature a positive black figure on its cover, boxing champion Joe Louis, while also including a dedicated story about its achievements. This issue played a key role in fostering better representation, ultimately inspiring the Parent Institute to collaborate with the Urban League in creating Negro Heroes, a comic series celebrating Black STEM excellence. All right, y'all, we're winding it down. Number 8.
Oh yeah.
Eben. Y'all know Eben had to be in the top 10. Created by the great Larry Fuller, this is the first Black super-powered hero comic by a Black creator. First superhero power comic, period. It'd be self-titled. It was independently published, and it broke barriers by centering a Black hero at a time when mainstream comics lacked authentic representation. This book checks a lot of boxes as well. Some look at it as the first Black indie title character, but regardless, this is the first time you're going to see a superhero, a superpower hero with its own title. Although Lobo is a hero, he predates it. There are people that are capes and cows, and they lean heavily toward what they identify as superheroes or superpower heroes. Well, this book definitely checks that box. Number 7, My Baby Mama, Friday Foster.
She my baby mama too.
I think she everybody baby mama.
And Friday Foster number 1, 1972, marked the first comic book appearance of Friday Foster, the first Black woman to headline her own comic book. Originally debuting in a nationally syndicated comic strip, Friday, a former model turned photographer, brought a rare and stylish representation of Black women in comics, breaking barriers in mainstream media. This is a... Go ahead, man.
If I found we got that Lobo one at Heroes Con last year, I'm going ham to search for this book at Heroes Con this year.
You'll find that. You have to see a lot.
Yeah, I'm sure you'll find that. Yeah.
Yeah, this is actually it's actually easier to find than
This book is much easier. This book is much easier to find than Lobo. Now it's priced well. You're not going to see it on. What would you say the cheapest price online for this book might be? Yes, Friday Foster's on True Comics, Phil. Hey man, wait a minute, Phil. You made the top. You made the top 10, bro. Come on, man.
Hey, we need Phil to hop on here, man.
Yeah, Phil needs to hop on, man. But yeah, but this book right here, y'all. I mean, we got the comic strip. We have the movie with Pam Grier, aka the Great Foxy Brown. This book right here is just. I think this book is undervalued, even though it's not a cheap book. This is one of those books where, like, in my opinion, I feel like books like Friday Foster, Lobo, Evans, and Evans sells for great money. Evans does really, really well. But these books should not be less than, in my opinion, that you should never find it. I don't think any of these books should be less, even in tough condition, unless the cover is ripped, is soiled, is beat to hell. These books should not be under $500. In my opinion, that's just my opinion. And as long as it's presentable, it's in good shape, these should be $500 books every single day.
8.5 is going for $400.
In my opinion, that's a great price. That's a good price in my opinion. Number 6, the first Black comic to feature a Black hero as a title character in his own series, Lobo. published by Dale Comics. Lobo followed a black gunslinger in the Old West, a rare and bold move for its time. However, due to backlash and poor distribution, the series was canceled after just 2 issues, highlighting the industry's resistance to black lead titles. I remember when I first bought this book. What's up, man?
Because is this book on the is this character in the domain?
This character's public domain.
Okay, all right. That's all I need to know.
This character's public domain. Yes, sir.
And let me just add something to this. Not trying to throw a plug, but I'm throwing a plug. We went to Heroes Con last year, and at one booth, I think there were a total of 4 Lobos. Is that correct, Sean and Matt?
Yep.
4
Yep.
of these books. Sean and I got one apiece, and then Matt, you bought one, right? Matt.
I hate to hit the mute, but I'm sorry. Yeah, I got one. I got one for the brother John Gay. Yeah.
Okay.
And Full of B
And
Comics
then who
got
got the other one? Yeah, Killer B got 4 of these at one vendor at Heroes Con. I'm just throwing it out there. So you look.
And
So-
I'm
for
a
this
bit
book, that's
worried,
probably
man,
one good
because
place to.
I submitted my copy to CGC back in September. It's still there.
Whoa, you ain't got it back yet?
Are you serious? Wow.
That and ASM 129 still there.
Whoa,
Hey.
man.
Wow.
Wow. Ain't surprised. You better call him. Do like I do. You better call
Yeah,
him.
we about to go into March,
Yeah,
man.
because I got an update from Lenny. You know, he pressed and cleaned them and sent it out, and he said he showed me the thing that is still there, still processing.
That's a long ass process.
You know, I'm gonna wait till Heroes Con to get mine graded. Then
Yeah. If I'll
Are they doing on-site grading?
yeah, they do it. They have it to you
Green
today.
Rose,
Yeah, they have it to you in 2 days.
Yeah.
I might go just for that.
yeah.
All right, let's keep it moving. Phil said Rico tribute. All right, so look, y'all. So y'all know Phil. I'm gonna go back a little bit. Phil owns the original artwork, which is absolutely insane. He owns the original artwork to this story. So you know he's gonna be a little emotional. He's in his feelings right now. But I'm the historian. He's not. The reason why Friday Foster has to be over is because you're looking at a milestone of a black woman, the first time a black woman ever titled a book. The weight of this book is much heavier than a book where there's just a feature story. Although this book is very important, this book actually catapulted Negro heroes. But this is a book where you have Joe Louis on the cover. He's not solo. This is not his book. This is not his title book. This is not his run. This is not his series. And he has a feature. But you have a black woman, never before in comic book history, a black woman titles her own book. This book has to carry that much weight. I know you own the artwork. Congratulations, man. But let me cook. Love you, brother.
Plus, we can't go up against the woman that actually portrayed Friday Foster and Pam.
You can't
Grier.
go up against Pam Grier, man.
Can't go
Come
against
on.
Pam Grier, man.
Man. Come on, man. But the weight of the book, this book just carries so much. Like no other, like the first black woman to title a comic book, her own story, her own series, her own the headline of her own book. That is just, I mean, like this is absolutely phenomenal. This is a phenomenal achievement, especially for this in the 70s. And this is 72. And remember, it started out with a comic strip. So, this is not a character that just came out of nowhere. This is a character that and the original art goes for crazy money for the comic strip. I've never seen any original art for the comic book for this book, though. But we'll keep moving. All right, we talked about Lobo. Number 5, we're in the top 5, y'all. Y'all ready?
Yes.
Crown Comics number 3.
Man,
Now-
take that damn book down. I'm so damn mad I didn't get that book. When
Crown Comics number 3.
I can't believe I saw that book and didn't get it, man.
You can't have a top 5 without a book that Matt Baker. If there's any top 5, has to have a book with Matt Baker hands on. But this book is not just because Matt Baker had his hands on it. This is the first time. This is the introduction of Voodoo, 1945. This is the first time we ever saw a black hero featured in comic books with his own feature story. Now, context, people that are watching this. Not mad at Crown Comics #3, Matt Baker. Yeah, man. Everybody. So just for a note, everybody that does something great is from Pittsburgh when it comes to Phil, y'all. So unless they crackheads or something, he's gonna take all the credit if they're from Pittsburgh. But this book is very important. Never before did we see a black hero featured with his own feature story in comic books. But most importantly, this character was created by a black creator, Matt Baker, the great Matt Baker. It introduced Buddha, the first undeniably black hero to headline his own comic book feature. In his debut, he bravely defends his tribe and love interest from danger. However, after just 2 appearances, Buddha was controversially whitewashed, erasing his black identity. Created by the legendary Matt Baker, Buddha remains a groundbreaking yet tragic figure in black comic book history. Now, another reason why this book is disruptive is because if you open this book up, go online, it's probably the first time a black dude choked a white man in comics. And he got his hands all on that dude neck. And so Buddha was standing on business, y'all. Standing on business. So
Quick question. I got a question for Matt. So Matt, you saw this at Heroes Con last year. You didn't pick it up. Why you didn't pick it up?
Man, I saw this the year, not this last year, the year before, before this one. I was trying to think. I got something. It was a big book I'd already had in my hand, and this book was at the time I think it was like $300 or $400, and I was just kind of like, I think I might see this again, not realizing what it was. I didn't realize it was the first appearance of Voodoo. Had I known that'd have been all she wrote, I would have got it. But I didn't think it was that, it was a major book at the time because I didn't know. I didn't know that was the first appearance of Voodoo until Rico told me. Then Rico was like, "Yeah, that's the first appearance of Voodoo." I said, "Well, goddamn." So, but I made up for it. I
You super made up.
I made up for it big time.
You made it up times 20.
Yeah,
All right, y'all. So
17.
before we go to number 4, we're gonna do a quick quiz. Who was the first black hero to have his own title? Come on, y'all.
Lobo,
All right. Who was the first black female to have her first title?
Friday Foster,
Who was the first black superpowered superhero to have his own title?
Media Man.
Eben.
Evan.
Evan, man.
Which I know.
I know.
Evan.
Who was the first Marvel character to have his own title?
Luke Cage.
Now, watch number 4 is gonna knock all of those off the map, and a lot of y'all probably don't even know it. Number 4, Jackie Robinson, baseball hero.
1949.
This is the first time, people, in history when you have a traditional comic. What do I mean by traditional comic? Traditional size comic beyond the platinum age, what we saw with Paulo Amosi. It was Brown, where you have a black man on the title with his own series. This is before Lobo. This is before Luke Cage. This is before Eben. This is before Friday Foster. But it gets even better.
I know somebody has a 9.8 of that.
Woo! A 9.8.
World famous Dave's. It's his copy.
Ooh, good gracious. But y'all, it gets sweeter. I'm gonna read something, but watch this. Published in 1949, was a groundbreaking series that made Jackie Robinson the first black man to have his name in a comic book title. It also marked the first time a real life athlete, black, white, blue, green, yellow, purple, plaid, fuchsia, headlined their own comic book series. This is history. The first time, again, any real life athlete. And remember, we're talking about the golden era. I think Siri's trying to give me some advice. This is the golden era where we had a lot of athletes with comic books, especially around 1950. Remember, next year, the following year in 1950, you have Joe Louis, Champion of Champions, Roy Campanella, Larry Doby, who else? Willie Mays. All of a sudden, you start having all of these athletes with their and then people like Babe Ruth came much later. So this book right here, if you want the first time a black person headline his own series, Jackie Robinson, 1949, baseball hero. Number 3.
Impossible to find. Impossible.
Man, good luck, man. Number 3. Come on, y'all. Y'all know Negro Romance gotta be in the top 3. You can't have a top 3 and Negro Romance not on. Why is this book so disruptive? Well, it's the first comic book dedicated to black characters breaking barriers in a genre that largely excluded them. What is that? Love, y'all. Romance, family, husband and wife, boyfriend, girlfriend. Published by Fawcett Comics, it depicted black love stories without the stereotypes common at the time, offering a rare and positive portrayal of black relationships in mid-century comics. Y'all, let me tell you something. This book right here, y'all. This book is in my top 5 all time, as you can see. But this book, this book is because I prefer this book over all Negro comics only because of the content and what it represents in the story and the stories inside. What it represents for black families, for what it represents for black communities, being able to see black love and be able to see black couples that were professionals. They weren't they were written like humans. They weren't written like black people. They were written like just humans that was experiencing real life situations. So Negro Romance number 1, number 3. All right, y'all, we down to the last 2. Any questions?
Yeah, I got a quick question, Rico. That particular book right there, how did it run? Was it just a one shot, or did it run like for a series, certain number of issues?
Great question. So now there are 4, but there's technically 3. There was 3 issues that were produced by Fawcett. Then later they were published. They were purchased, and then issue number 3 was reprinted. So you'll see Negro Romance number 4. If you see Negro Romance number 4, that is actually a reprint of hold on, make sure I get you the right one. The right one that was reprinted. But there's actually only 3 original issues. But when you go, you're gonna actually see 4 issues. All right, so so it was issue number 2 was reprinted. So you have 3 issues, and the issue number 4 is a reprint of issue number 2. Mm-hmm. So Charlton Comics purchased it, and from Fawcett, and when they only did 1 issue, but the issue was a reprint of number 2. But number 4 is the only issue that has an illustrated cover. Issues 1 through 3 have photographic cover. Issue 4, which is the cover, which is the reprint of number 2, actually have an illustrated cover where I'm pretty sure Phil will love to hear this. It is alleged that on issue number 4, the guy in the car is Matt Baker. That was illustrated in the car. So he'll probably
he is right though. This is number 3 on eBay, and it goes for $2,999.99.
I've seen that one, Puff. And
so 1.0.
I've seen that, Puff, and I'll be honest with you, that's not a bad price. The only reason why I haven't grabbed that is because I don't like the presentation. I know a lot of times people say when books are so rare, it doesn't really matter. Certain books do, in my opinion. There's certain books that carry so much weight to you, and you appreciate it. You want to have the best presented copy possible.
This is all types of issues: spine split, reattached with tape,
Damn.
Yeah.
That
2
book,
extra staples.
that book went through so many hands.
The old
Yeah,
book, man, 1950.
Yeah, 1950, man.
The fact that he's able to keep it together like that.
Hey, he did a MacGyver on it, man.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. Final 2. Number 2,
Impossible to find too.
Harlem Youth Report, Youth in the Ghetto, number 5. Now, based on content, listen carefully, people. Based on content, there is no more important book in Black comic book history, and it's not even. Listen, it's not even debated. It's not even debatable. Anybody wants to debate it, just grab the book, slap the person across the head with it, and then read it to them. Because this book tackles some of the most pressing issues within the Black community. It solved a lot of problems, and they gave this book away to the community. It was a 1969 publication that was used using comic book storytelling to highlight the realities of systemic oppression, poverty, but what I also like about it, personal accountability. Not only would they deal with all the systemic issues that were plaguing the area of Harlem, the Black community, they were also giving the people in the community hope. They were giving them solutions. They were telling them what not to do, stay off the drugs, how to handle and manage and be responsible and be accountable with certain things. This book was absolutely powerful. Super hard book to find. I think one recently sold for around somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000, somewhere in that range. Combining journalism and sequential art, it provided a raw, unfiltered look at urban struggles, serving as both a call to action and an educational tool. There is no book in Black comic history based on its content that matches this book. It's not even close, y'all. When you read it, you will know. It is basically like educating you. It is empowering you. It is uplifting you. It is making you aware of every single thing around you. It's not even close, y'all. All right, y'all. Last but not least, I think y'all already know what book this is.
Hold on, Rico. Matt, we got a drum roll. Never mind. You
Go
know,
through the drum. There you go.
Hold on. I'll tell you what we do here. Hold on. Before you go number 1. Hold on. We got something. Just bear with me. Let me get it.
I'm gonna get.
All right, here we go.
Sure.
That's the best we got.
There it is. That's it right there, y'all. Perfect. All right, y'all. Number 1, I think y'all already knew. This is the book of all books.
I would have got that book if I didn't have to get a damn car and pay the tax.
all Negro comics, number 1,
Yeah, you would've got it.
1947. This was the first comic book written, illustrated, published entirely by Black creators, spearheaded by Orrin C. Evans. It was a bold attempt to establish independent Black representation in comics, featuring heroic Black protagonists outside of racist caricatures. Despite its groundbreaking nature, the series was short-lived due to industry discrimination, making it one of the rarest and most significant comic books in history. Now, my question is, if y'all been taking notes, how many do y'all have on this list? Let's go back. Well, let's go back. We're gonna do a little repeat. I want to know how many. All right, in the chat, drop and tell me how many of these books you have. We're gonna go. He's gonna get real quick. We got Ace Comics number 1.
Don't have it.
Funnies 45.
Don't have it.
Arrow number 1.
Don't have it.
Yankee Comics number 2.
Don't have it.
This is a good book, y'all. When you read it, like go to Comic Book Plus or something, and a lot of these older books, just pull up and read it, just because usually they'll have it there. Black Laughter, Black Man, Static number 1. I know everybody in the chat gotta have a Static. Spawn number 1. If y'all ain't got a Spawn, man, shame on y'all.
Yeah, I got that. That's 1.
Hell Rider number 1. Fast Willie Jackson. Mighty Man. Now this is tough. But it's one on eBay for what? How much is on eBay for, Matt?
$38.50.
Hey, for 38 for only $3,850.
And it's issue number 2.
Oh, is this number 2? Oh wow, that's crazy.
Dang.
Luke Cage, come on, y'all. I know y'all got Luke Cage, the FF52. We're at Fantasy 18. Black Eldridge. Dig.
It start getting back after this. That's it.
Nigga Hero number 1. Nigga
Oh
Picture
yeah.
News number 6.
Yeah.
Molo Mosi.
Almost had it.
True Comics number 5. Eben. Friday Foster, my baby mama. Lobo. Crown Comics number 3. Jackie Robinson, Baseball Hero. Negro Romance number 1. Harlem Youth Report. And all Negro of them things.
Philip got them all.
All right. How many you got, Matt?
9.
9?
Yeah, close man gun.
How many you got, Al?
I got 4 of them. I got the Fast Willie Jackson on the Friday Foster that you AOK'd me. Thank you. I got the Luke Cage and the Lobo.
Okay.
All right, so
okay.
I just want to say, put the camera on me. I got the Fast Willie Jackson.
Oh,
That's what's
And
up. That's what's up.
I have the Lobo, but that's at CGC languishing. And then of course, this wasn't on the list, but I just need to show it because I got that.
Oh yeah. That would have definitely made top 50. Easy top 50.
hey,
Yo,
well, I
that's
got Fat Albert number 1. I
Yeah.
don't know if that counts.
All right. So let's look at the chat. So Phil says I only have 17. Only Phil. Only.
Oh yes.
I only.
Out
Oh.
of 30. I
So
think
Super
it
Slab.
might
Super Slab says he hit the double D. We know Super Slab, y'all. Shout out to Mike Carson, man. We know he got. I'm shocked he ain't got all at least 29. But Super Slab's collection, y'all. If y'all want to see the illest static complete 9/8 collection, listen to what I just said, y'all.
Yeah.
The original static run and a complete 9/8 collection. Super Slab Comics, y'all. One of the dopest. First of all, one of the dopest comic book collections you'll ever find. But he has the full static 9/8 collection. Absolutely unbelievable.
Rico,
Evolutionary Comics say he got 4. Shout out. That's dope. That's dope. All right.
I want to correct mine. I got 5 because I forgot about Static. I got 3 copies of that.
There you go. There you go. There you go. All right. I'm going to go through the list and tell y'all which ones I have. Y'all
Oh.
ready?
Yes.
Nah. All right. I have Harlem Report. That's 1. I don't have that. I have this. That's 2. I have this. That's 3. I have this. That's 4. I have this. That's 5. I have this. That's 6. I have this. That's 7. I have this. That's 8. I have this. That's 9. I have this. That's 10. I don't have this one. I have number 2, but I don't have this one. I have this. That's 11. 12. I have this one. 13. 14. 15. 16. 17.
17 out of 21.
18.
18 out of 22.
19. 20. 21. 22. 23. 24. I don't have this one. I had this one 25. I have 25.
25 out of 30. Damn, bro.
Hey man.
Hey, man, I'm Black Key Comics for a reason, dog.
Exactly.
Name the owner.
Hey,
You know
I'm
what,
surprised. I'm surprised it wasn't 29 out of 30.
And you know what though, Rico? I wouldn't expect nothing less though, for real. Like you, Black Key Comics, and the resident historian. So
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would say this, but if I didn't focus too much on this darn X-Men collection I'm trying to complete, I might have a couple more, but you know how that goes.
Yeah.
I mean, thanks to Rico, not only I got that little kid, I got to complete the Calvin run. So
Yeah, Calvin one, man. That's dope. That's dope. Let me tell you something. That's not an easy collection to find, man. Easy, and usually they're beat up, bro. And that copy you got from Heroes Con is beautiful. Oh my goodness.
It's man, that's
golly, bro. Usually that book online, man, is so beat up. It's insane, man. That's insane.
yeah, man. For the price that they were selling it for, I was like, yeah. For this clean ass copy for that price?
Hey,
Fortunate, man. Fortunate.
What you said, Sean?
Well, y'all, I hope y'all enjoyed this. I wanted to end it on a bang.
You did.
Hey, you disrupted a lot of people's wallets, man.
I got 3 Friday falls on my watch.
Standing ovation for this brother. Standing ovation.
Man, appreciate it.
Rico, you're doing the Lord's work, bro. That's all I got to say.
Man, I appreciate it, man. I love this stuff, man. It's fun, man. I appreciate you guys bringing me on, allowing me to share these books, man. I actually love learning about this more, and I love actually purchasing now. So for me, man, it's just fun, man, just to go through it, learn this stuff, man. The history is phenomenal. I like preserving our history. I like curating. I like, these are like time capsules for me. Things I can pass on to my kids, my grandkids, because some of these books, man, especially a lot of these golden age books, they're going to be almost impossible to find in the next 10 years. So appreciate it, fam. Appreciate it.
Hey, let me just say this, man, and this I think I speak for everybody else on the Tomahawk crew, bro. You are a wonderful addition to the crew. And you bring a dynamic to the crew that we Matt is, of course, he's very knowledgeable, but I gotta give credit when credit is due. You do your thing, man. And I know some of them books is way beyond my current salary requirement. However, I am now that Hell Rider I'm planning on looking for when we go to Heroes Con this year.
Yep.
And it might be a couple other ones, but I know for sure I want that one on my in my collection. So, man, but you do a great job with these, my man, for real.
And I want to say it's been like 2 years since the very first show that Rico appeared on in February.
2 years. Yep.
2 years. So it's been great.
Man, I appreciate it, man. This is fun, man. I enjoy it, man. I enjoy it.
Yep, I appreciate
it. I can tell too. I can tell when you do these presentations, man, and when you talking about those, you have a genuine love for it, bro.
Oh, I love this stuff, man. Yeah,
For real.
Yeah, I love this stuff, man. I love this stuff, man. I like the history, man. I think the intrinsic value that a lot of these comics have, because a lot of these comics were addressing things that we weren't getting in television, or we weren't getting on, in magazines or newspapers. They were imitating life. They were addressing real life issues. So this is part of the whole literary narrative that we have, whether it's first edition novels, whether it's comic books, magazines, cell animation. All of these things are part of this historical timeline, man, that when you start piecing these things together, man, bro, it just creates this beautiful tapestry, man, when you're kind of looking at it from a macro level. So I just love this stuff, man. It's and these are things that I just love looking at sometimes, because you're holding history in your hands. Think about it. Like when you hold a book from 1902, you hold a book from 1945, when you hold a book, man, that Matt Baker, illustrated, it's insane, man.
Hey, man.
Honorable mention under $100 for the folk watching Rico. We should do a show, the most deal with the most affordable books or something like that. Like really dope books that we could
That's
probably
a great
find.
idea.
Put it on the
Yeah,
list.
Yeah,
Got
that'd be a really
I
cool
got it.
book. Like
Some-
the most undervalued, affordable books that no one is looking at or looking for.
We'll do that. We'll do that. We'll call that
Yeah.
that'll be our show.
Let me ask you a quick question though. I know we're gonna do a show on it, but would that Saber be on that list, Rico?
Saber should be on that list. That's a great.
It's
Sa-
a couple issues of Saber that should be on that.
Yeah, Saber should be. Saber should definitely be. That's a very important book too. It's a very dope book.
Yeah.
Shout
matter
out
of fact-
shout
Oh,
out
go ahead,
to
man.
Noble Vest. He was hoping to join tonight, but he had other things. But he hooked me up with the Saber issues, and he also reached out to me and said, "Hey, do you need any more?" And I only need like 5 more issues to complete that whole run.
Wow.
That's what's up, man.
I've never seen anybody for the whole run of Saber. That's wild. Hey man.
But speaking of which, I do have a small haul.
Oh, hold on. Yeah, we can already go to
Let's
that.
go. Let's
We
do
can
it.
already- let's go right into it.
So I'm gonna start out with this. This came out, I think, earlier the week or last week, but I got the Far Sector Deluxe Edition.
Nice. Very nice.
The hardcover. I love this run, and I definitely had to snatch that up. Last time I was on the show, I said I showed off the Gunhawks, but I didn't have number 4. But now I have number 4.
Oh, you got it
Okay.
now.
Alright.
Let me tell you something. That series has some really dope covers. Really
Yeah.
dope covers. And they highlight Reno so well. Even on a lot of the covers, man, where it's still Reno Jones and Kid Cassidy. You get a lot of emphasis of Reno on those covers.
Yeah, I mean, look, Kid Cassidy on the ground, slumped over. Like the bear done messed him
Oh
up.
yeah,
and then,
yeah.
then Reno comes in like, yeah, I'm gonna mess this bear up.
Yeah.
So how far are you away from completing that run?
I got the whole. It was 7 issues.
Yeah,
I
that's it.
I sold the other issues when I was on here last time, but yeah, I got that whole run. And
I
then
remember
this
that.
one I was able to snatch off of eBay, and this is a first appearance. Action Comics 521.
Ooh, Vixen.
That's the first Vixen,
And
ain't
he got a newsstand, y'all. Look at that. Hold on, pull up. He got the got the newsstand.
You better tell him.
Whoa. He got the newsstand, y'all.
And you know what? I'm kind of like Matt because I remember when we did at the comic store in Stockbridge. Remember that, Matt? And they had that book, and I passed up on it.
And you know what, Al? That's a book that would probably be on the list too. That's another book, man, that people sleep on. It's a great
Yeah,
book.
I mean, it never went up, and
Yeah.
it had a little spike, during her run on the Arrowverse, but it was always affordable.
Always affordable. Yeah.
Yeah, so. And then I'll just show these off because, I'm not a big Funko Pop collector, but you know me, I'm a fan of the franchise. I had to get the real Ghostbuster Funko Pops.
Nice.
Doom, 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 doom.
Was Winston Zedmore?
I about to ask where Winston at. Was he in your
You
Winston?
know Winston. I had to get all 4. So yeah, that's my haul.
All right. We're gonna slide over here to your brother.
Let's
All
go.
right, man. I'm not gonna show some of the comics that I got a lot of them last month, and I ain't even got them over here. So I'm just gonna show off what I recently picked up. And we're gonna start with the one game this week. SVC,
Oh,
Chaos, SNK versus Capcom.
Oh, hey, hold up. Where you get that from?
This was on Amazon, Al, because this came out on limited run last year, but it sold out quickly.
Yeah.
Came out on Amazon through their store, but it was only 2 left for that price, $34.99. I haven't checked to see if it's still available or not, but yeah. I'm glad I pre-ordered it because as soon as last week came, all the orders are saying, "Oh, ain't being delivered to March 3rd, 20th." Something like, "Oh, that's not good."
Savovich.
I
Okay.
was able to pick this up. Like, yeah, let me go ahead and get this. You got the Capcom Fighting Collection 2 coming out. Got that pre-order.
Yep.
All right, so some Funko Pops. I'm showing some Pops too. Actually, this is going to be my first Funko Pop haul in damn near 2 years. I know X is like, damn, Jason, finally get some Pops. So we're going to show some Spider-Man. These are the Spider-Man 2 video game Pops right here. Spider-Man.
Nice.
You got Miles Morales. Now I got 2 more, and I actually forgot. I didn't realize this is actually more Pops than this. Yeah, this is Anti-Venom, and this is Craven.
Ooh,
And
nice.
I'll just go ahead and show y'all right now. I got the Black Suit Harry Osborn coming. That's coming on Tuesday.
Dope.
I didn't even realize that had Screen Pop. So got those 2 Funko Pops. And I also got a Invincible Pop coming too. I completely forgot about that. Now I had this since the summer. I can't remember if I ever showed y'all this statue here. But my first villain statue of Jack. Oh shit, it's Wind King. Yeah, you see it, Perfect Cell. Got this back in December. And a recent statue that came a couple of days ago. Yara Stone from Mass Effect.
Nice. Very
Okay.
nice.
I got Garrett's coming on Monday. There's apparently on Amazon got only 4 of them. So I got 2 and another one. I'll probably get grunting them. But that's all for today. When we do another show, I'll try to get all my comics I got together.
Nice.
I completed Infinity Gauntlet, so I got that, and I got Infinity Crusader coming. So I have all 3 Infinity story arcs from the 90s completed. Infinity Gauntlet, Infinity Crusader, Infinity War.
All right, Al, anything, brother? They were hidden in the movie theater, by the way. They were hidden, boy.
Yeah, man. Junior Miss, boy. You can't go wrong with them toes. Nah, man,
Yeah.
I didn't get a chance to go to,
Yeah. I just thought about it.
But yeah.
Anything that, brother Rico?
You know what? Since y'all showing Funko Pops, I got a couple Funko Pops.
Yeah, look at your collection, man.
These aren't really new, man. But I
got
got George. I got Georgia Wheezy. I got Georgia Wheezy.
Okay.
Got Georgia Wheezy.
Did you get Fred and Lamont?
No, I don't have Fred Lamont.
Yeah,
I got
that on
one.
Amazon.
I have Prince. This is the FYI exclusive.
Yeah.
Ooh, I need that one. I got the Raspberry Beret prints and the Rain print. I got them too.
I'll show a few more of my favorites. I'll do these last 2. I'll do Man Thing. A lot of people tease me, but Man Thing's one of my favorite comic book characters of all time.
Man, what they did with him with that Halloween special, bro, it was that they need to do more of that for real.
Yeah, that was dope. And the best movie of all time, Die Hard. I got John McClane.
Which was? Oh, I got that. Yeah.
That Christmas movie.
Mhm.
Best Christmas movie ever.
I still want to get Hans Gruber. They never reprinted.
Feeling pretty freaking unappreciated. That's my Funko haul.
All right, brothers.
The last one I'll show, I did pick this one up recently.
Gotcha.
Okay, from Spider-Verse. All right.
Oh, that's dope. That's dope. That's really dope.
Sweet. All right, cool. We'll be back.
What? You ain't got
Well,
nothing from CGC or nothing, man?
Now I got something I'm gonna save for the music show.
Okay.
Oh,
Lord. Okay.
Oh,
man.
so you got another Right On magazine with Michael Jackson and Prince?
You got some binders. You probably got some binders.
I do have some vinyl, but I don't have I don't have anything.
I'll show that first issue of Ebony magazine.
No, y'all would have saw that tonight. I probably would have pulled it out tonight if I had that, but unfortunately, I don't. But I do have something that's pretty cool that I will reveal when we come back in March for our music show. So make sure that you'll be here for that.
Chicka.
We probably gonna have a series of music shows though.
Yeah, we
right?
have a series of music shows pretty much coming up. So you'll be tuned in for that. And make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Go over to Instagram, give Rico a follow. Black Key Comics on Instagram. Also, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, send this to your friends, drop this in your Facebook groups so that people can see this knowledge that's being passed on. You can't say you don't know, because knowing is half the battle.
Half the battle. Now y'all know what to go out and look for.
G.I.
Yep.
Joe, baby.
It's out there.
It
You
is.
got the Dead Sea Scrolls. Dead Sea Scrolls would have been would definitely be in the top 100.
No. I've got the Holy Grail, the Monty Python's Holy Grail. All right, we're out of here, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all have a good night. Thank y'all so much. We've enjoyed doing this series with y'all this month. Don't forget that just because February is Black History Month doesn't mean it can't be every day.
March is Black History Month. April's Black History Month.
It's fact.
May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Is there any more months we get some? Every month is Black History Month, y'all.
Every month. All right.
365 days.
365.
We out. Peace.